Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for being aware of every video that I upload to my channel. It's very interesting for me to see that the number of visits on these different videos on the channel are increasing considerably. This means that these classes are helping to better understand English. Remember that English is not just a subject that is learned in school. It is a help tool to achieve our goals. You can travel around the world and share experiences with different people. One of the best tips I can give you is never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. It's only impossible if you don't try. So stop, think, observe, proceed. Let's start. Before starting with the grammar part of this topic, I'm going to tell you the definition of comparatives and superlatives. The topic for today is comparative and superlative adjectives and adverbs. Comparatives show how two things or ideas are different. Superlatives compare one thing or idea to others in a group. For example, one example with comparatives. This house is smaller than this building. In this case, we are comparing two things that are different, the house and the building. One example with superlative. Russia is the biggest country around the world. Comparative is when we compare two or more things. For example, the lion is faster than the tiger. On the other hand, a superlative is when we talk about a single thing or a group of things to say that is the maximum in its category. For example, cheetah is the fastest animal on the land. Here we are not comparing, in this case we are saying that this animal is the maximum in its category. So they are both important in comparison and contrast writing. So we have some rules about comparative adjectives. The first one is add er to one syllable and some two-syllable adjectives. For example, easier, greater, older, or maybe with these adjectives, smart, smarter, longer, big, bigger, old, older, tall, taller. So you can see, and we can make sentences with these adjectives. For example, my mother is smarter than my friend. The Amazonas River is longer than we river. Can you see? So the second rule is add more or less before adjectives with two or more syllables. For example, more complex, less efficient, or more efficient, less complex. When we have adjectives with two or more syllables, we add more before the adjective and then after the adjective. For example, his sister is more creative than he is, or his sister is less creative than he is, depending the context that we are saying. So we have more examples about comparative adjectives. For example, the elephant is bigger than the mouse. With adjectives with one syllable, we add er. Please remember, add er and then than. For example, bigger than, smaller than, nicer than, taller than, shorter than, stronger than, weaker than, longer than. Add with two syllables ending in y, change y to I and add er. For example, easier than, busier than, better than, deeper than, funnier than, smellier than, happier than, friendlier than. So For adjectives with two or more syllables, we add the word more before the adjective and the word than after the adjective. For example, more beautiful, beautiful. This adjective has three syllables. For that reason, we add more before the adjective. And the same happens with another examples. Dangerous, intelligent, understanding, complex, interesting, difficult, frustrating. So we add more before the adjective and than after the adjective. More dangerous than, more intelligent than, more complex than, more interesting than. So let's continue with this class. Now we're gonna learn some rules about comparative adverbs. The rules are almost the same. In this case, we add er to one syllable adverbs. For example, harder, faster. Example, he plays soccer harder than Michael. He drives faster than his father. In this case, we have adjectives with one syllable and two syllables, right? Faster, harder, hard, fast. Okay, these syllables we only add er. He plays soccer harder than Michael. He drives faster than his father. For example, in these pictures, he drives faster than his father. That means that the son is going to drive to different places before than his father, because he is faster than his father. He drives faster than his father. So, the second rule, we add more or less before adverbs of two syllables or more. For example, more quickly, less carefully. Examples, he plays more quietly than his sister does. He speaks English more slowly than his partner. Ronaldo practices soccer less carefully than his coach. Or his coach practices soccer more carefully than Ronaldo. Depends the context. Every single sentence depends the context. We can add more or we can add less. We add more or less with adverbs with two or more syllables. We write more before the adjective and the word than after the adjectives, as you can see in the examples. They are both important, remember, in comparison and cross writing. So don't use less with one syllable words. Please use not as as for these examples. For example, the Asian population is not as large as Latino population in the United States. Not the Asian population is less large than the Latino population in the United States. Please use not as as. This means that there are a lot of people, there are a lot of Latino people in the United States than Asian people. That means the Asian population is not as large as the Latino population in the United States. So, please, we're gonna continue pay attention with this part. Comparative adverbs as formed as follows. For example, use a subject pronoun plus an auxiliary verb be, have, or do after than in formal academic writing. The auxiliary verb is optional. The auxiliary verb is optional. Use an object pronoun in informal writing and speaking. For example, informal, my family is more concerned about having dinner together than I am. Or omitting the auxiliary verb. My family is more concerned about having dinner together than I. Okay, an example with informal. My family is more concerned about having dinner together than me. In this case, we are using a pronoun because it is informal. I can say my family is more concerned about having dinner together than me in speaking or maybe in writing, in informal writing. Okay, let's continue with superlative adjectives. The rules for superlative adjectives are almost the same than comparative adjectives. The first rule is add the article da plus s to one syllable and some two-syllable adjectives. For example, easiest, greatest, oldest. Examples: James is the oldest man in his family. We add the article da plus the adjective adding est at the end. James is the oldest man in his family. Or playing is the easiest activity that exists in the world. Can you see? So the second rule is add the most or the least before adjectives with two or more syllables. Most common, less effective. Examples: the Holy Bible is the most interesting book that I have. The Holy Bible is the most interesting book that I have. In this case, I write the most before the adjective. This adjective has more than two syllables. For that reason, we add the most. The Holy Bible is the most interesting book that I have. For the least greasy of all those dishes is the salad. Warm up is the most common activity during a class. The lion is the most wonderful wild animal for me. Remember, we add the article da plus the word most with adjectives with two or more syllables. For example, interesting, 3 syllables. Greasy, 2 syllables. Common, 2 syllables. Wonderful, 3 syllables. Superlative others. So the rules are almost the same in these examples. With superlative others, we add the da plus s to one syllable others. For example, hardest, fastest, the hardest with the article da. For example, Michelle is the fastest writer. My history homework is the hardest homework that I must do. The elephant is the biggest animal in Africa. In this case, we use only the article da and we add s at the end of the other because this kind of others has only one syllable. Fast, fastest, hard, hardest, big, biggest. Okay, we add the most before others of 2 or more syllables. The most quickly, the most significantly. For example, the lion is the most significantly wild animal for me. He is the most seriously person in his family. Bob is the most. Bob is the most seriously person in his family can be, right? Bob is the most. We use the plus the word must, the most. And after that, we add the other. In this case, this kind of others has more than 2 syllables. The lion is the most significantly wild animal for me. He is the most seriously person in his family. Bob is the most seriously person in his family. So, friends, that is the end of this presentation. So, please remember the rules. The rules are so good when we are writing or when we are sharing information with other people, informal and informal writing and speaking. So use these kind of rules to improve your English. Please remember that I'm gonna help you in every single moment that you are. So bye bye, take care and bye bye.